In 1943, more than 200 people vanished overnight. No goodbye letters, no forwarding addresses. One day they were running shops, sending their kids to school, and planning Sunday church services, and by the next morning, their entire town was gone. The strangest part, officially, that town never existed as the government. And they'll tell you it's a myth, a fabrication. But I've held the proof in my hands: birth certificates, marriage licenses, property deeds, all belonging to a place that was wiped off the map. The town was called Cedar Falls, Tennessee. And what happened there has been buried for 80 years. Tonight, you're going to hear the truth. It was just after midnight when black cars pulled into Cedar Falls. Families were jolted awake by knocks on their doors. Men in suits, government men, stood outside with orders that gave them no choice. One of the last living witnesses was a girl named Eleanor Hartwell. She was 12. She remembered a man telling her mother, "You have 6 hours, 1 suitcase each. Leave everything else." Her mother asked where they were going, and the man simply replied, "Somewhere safe." By dawn, the town was empty. Doors left swinging open, meals half-eaten on kitchen tables. And from that moment forward, Cedar Falls was erased. For generations, Cedar Falls had been like any other southern town. A post office, schoolhouse, a church that rang its bells every Sunday. Diaries and family photos show ordinary lives: children walking to class, neighbors swapping recipes, men fixing fences. Yet by 1945, state maps no longer listed Cedar Falls. It was as if the community had never been there. Families were warned, speak about it, and you'd be guilty of treason. That fear kept people silent for decades, but a few could not live with the lie, and they paid the ultimate price. In 1947, 3 families, the Kowalskis, the Brennans, and the Washingtons, defied their orders. They wanted to reclaim their homes. 11 people set out towards Cedar Falls: parents, children, grandparents. Their car was found 2 miles from the old town. The engine was running. The doors were open. Belongings lay scattered across the dirt road. But not a single body was ever found. The state police filed missing persons reports. Within 72 hours, the case was transferred to federal authorities. It was never reopened. The official word: nothing unusual. The truth: those families were neutralized. That's the exact term in a classified memo dated January 1948. Neutralized. 11 American citizens vanished into thin air. So what was Cedar Falls hiding that justified erasing an entire community? The answer lies in documents connected to the Manhattan Project, the top-secret program that built the atomic bomb. 5 days before the evacuation, a memo was issued. Site evaluation complete. Population relocation required. Acceptable radiation exposure levels cannot be guaranteed. Cedar Falls, it turns out, sat on one of the largest uranium deposits in North America. The government wanted it all. The uranium wasn't the real secret. Buried under Cedar Falls was something far stranger. When most people think of the Manhattan Project, they think of desert laboratories, chalkboards filled with equations, and mushroom clouds rising above New Mexico. But buried in those archives, hidden in misfiled boxes and forgotten reels of microfilm, there are glimpses of something stranger. Something they never meant the public to see. The word is Deep Sight. At first glance, Project Deep Sight looks like an ordinary geological survey, the kind the government ran all across the country in the 1940s, hunting for uranium deposits. But a closer look reveals details that make no sense. pages describing a hollow chamber 200 feet underground. Reports noting heat levels inconsistent with any natural formation. Handwritten notes warning of radiation spikes increasing daily. The descriptions are chilling in their precision. One file, one uncovered, describes the chamber as spherical, approximately 400 feet in diameter. Uniform curvature, anomalous thermodynamic profile, uniform curvature, perfectly spherical, not cracked, jagged, or broken like every natural cavern we've ever found. Whoever wrote those words was describing something too precise to be nature, something built. And then there were the radiation levels. A steady background hum like you'd find near normal uranium seams, but climbing day after day. Exposure levels doubling every 36 hours. One memo states, unsafe for long-term human presence. That's not geology. That's a process, a reaction. Something alive in the way a machine or a reactor is alive. When I showed these files to a physicist, he stared at them in silence before finally saying, if this data is real, the uranium wasn't natural. It was concentrated, refined. Something put it there. Think about that. Uranium is hard enough to mine and enrich with today's technology. But here was a deposit so pure, so concentrated, that 1940s scientists thought it had been engineered. If that's true, then Cedar Falls wasn't just sitting on a gold mine for the atomic age. It was sitting on evidence that somebody or something had been here long before us, shaping the ground for reasons we still don't understand. And then there were the witnesses. Families who were children in Cedar Falls spoke of things that seemed absurd at first. Eleanor Hartwell, who remembered a flash in the sky. Others who spoke of men who glowed in the dark. For decades, those memories were dismissed as trauma exaggerations, the half-formed nightmares of children who had been torn from their homes. But when you put them alongside the Project DeepSight files, they sound like the testimony of ordinary people who saw radiation exposure firsthand. Imagine being a farmer in 1943, waking in the night to find a glow leaking from the ground. Imagine watching government trucks roll in at 3 a.m. Men in heavy suits, moving like shadows, their lanterns revealing only fragments of what they carried out. These weren't hallucinations, they were glimpses of a cover-up in action. What the government found under Cedar Falls wasn't simply a uranium deposit. It was something much older. Structure, a reactor, sphere glowing with heat and energy, buried for thousands of years until human curiosity stumbled on it. And instead of telling the truth, the government erased the town above it. Decades passed. Families who once called Cedar Falls home scattered across the country, keeping their silence. On the surface, the story faded into obscurity. A ghost of a ghost town. But the land beneath never rested. Today, Cedar Falls is a flat expanse of farmland. To the untrained eye, it looks ordinary. But look closer. Satellite images reveal something unnatural. Circles of scorched vegetation, rings of dead grass that refuse to grow. Perfectly round, each one aligned with the underground sphere described in the 1943 surveys. These circles aren't accidents. They match the precise boundaries of the chamber. And here's the terrifying part, they're expanding. Slowly, year after year, like ripples spreading out from a stone dropped in water. Whatever is underground isn't dormant. It's pushing outward. Scientists who've dared to study the area report electromagnetic anomalies. Compass needles spinning in circles. Radios filled with static, losing signal without explanation. One environmental scientist told me it's almost as if the ground is breathing. Something under there is alive in a way we don't understand. Then, there are the radiation readings. Amateur researchers with Geiger counters have uploaded videos showing spikes far above safe levels, sometimes doubling within minutes of measurement. The land should have cooled by now. Whatever's down there should have decayed decades ago. And yet, 80 years later, it's stronger, and the government denial. No facilities have ever been located in that area. That's the official statement from the Department of Energy. No acknowledgement, no comment, no investigation, just a flat denial. Even as documents I've obtained show the opposite. Why lie so boldly? Why deny something so easily disproved? Because admitting Cedar Falls existed means admitting what was underneath it is real. And that's a truth too big, too dangerous for them to release. Local residents whisper about lights on the horizon, strange hums carried by the wind at night. Some say livestock refuse to graze near certain fields. Others describe sudden illness after wandering too close. These stories echo the nightmares of the first generation of evacuees flashes in the sky. Glowing figures, a sense of something unnatural pressing against the edges of human perception. The land remembers. And it's still speaking. For decades, Cedar Falls lay abandoned, an empty scar on Tennessee's soil. But then, just 3 months ago, everything changed. Without warning, convoys of trucks rolled into the area. Locals watched as heavy equipment drills, bulldozers, cranes moved in under armed escort. A fence went up almost overnight, 20 feet high, topped with barbed wire. Security checkpoints appeared on rural backroads that had never seen a stop sign. Farmers who once grazed cattle near Cedar Falls were turned away. National security, the guards told them, no explanation, no paperwork, just force. And then came the sounds. The thrum of drilling deep into the ground. Explosions muffled beneath layers of earth. Lights burning through the night. Something massive is happening beneath Cedar Falls, and the government is in a hurry. Why now? Why, after 80 years of silence, are they suddenly pouring resources into the site? The answer lies in budget documents I obtained. $200 million allocated to geological stabilization. A term so vague it could mean anything. But paired with eyewitness reports, it's clear what it really means. Containment. They're trying to hold something in. The timing is no coincidence. Satellite images show the dead grass circles expanding faster in recent years. Radiation spikes are climbing higher. Whatever has been buried since 1943 is no longer stable, shifting, growing, maybe even preparing to break the surface. The secrecy is staggering. No public announcements. No permits filed with local authorities. The entire operation exists in the shadows. And if history has taught us anything, it's that when the government moves this quietly, it's because they're terrified of what happens if the public finds out. One local told me, "I've lived here 50 years. I've never seen the government move like this. Whatever they're doing down there, it's not just construction, it's a war. I've saved the most chilling discovery for last." In a recent internal memo obtained at great cost, 2 phrases appear again and again. Accelerated activity and imminent containment failure. Those words should terrify you. They mean the underground anomaly isn't just active, it's accelerating. Its energy output is increasing, and the containment measures that have held for nearly a century are breaking down. What happens if it fails? Okay? Nobody knows, but the documents suggest possibilities. Thermal event. controlled release, mass displacement, language that avoids specifics but carries an unmistakable warning. If this thing breaks loose, the consequences won't stop at Cedar Falls. Think about it. The same government that erased 200 citizens from history, that hunted down and silenced families who tried to return, is now racing to prevent a disaster they've known was coming for 80 years. What could it be? An ancient energy source, a failed weapon, or something not of this earth at all? We may never have the full truth, but one fact is undeniable. Cedar Falls was real. Its people were real. And they were sacrificed to cover up something the government decided was too dangerous for the public to know. Now that secret is stirring again, and this time it may not stay buried. Cedar Falls, Tennessee. A town that never officially existed. A mystery the government still denies. And perhaps a warning of what happens when humanity digs too deep. So I'll ask you, what do you believe lies beneath Cedar Falls? Is it a reactor older than civilization? A weapon waiting to ignite? Or something else entirely, something we were never meant to touch? Because one thing is certain. The truth is always stranger than the cover-up.